Good afternoon. I am Mary Hanley, and I am so excited for you to be with me today. I am owner and founder of Nutrition Essentials and Elevate Your Health, and I am so excited to be sharing something so amazing with you today. We are going to be talking about how to lose weight without dieting while thinking. And I know that sounds so incredibly crazy, but I promise you it works as I have done it. And so I'm going to share you all the tactics and all the things that I have done to do exactly that. I want you to just really pay attention to everything that I'm saying today. I know some of it's going to be a little bit crazy, and you're probably going to be like, oh my goodness, that none of that makes any sense whatsoever. And I know that that can't work, but I promise you it does. So I want to really help you to understand what you are going to be learning today is going to be so very important. So turn off Facebook, turn off your emails, turn off everything that's going to be making noise. And over the next 45 minutes, I want you to just really hone in on what I'm saying. So grab a piece of paper and a pen and really listen. And at the end of this video, when you get done, if you're here live, then you will be able to receive our meal plan that is specifically for you from this. Nobody else can get it except for through this particular offer through this video today. So I am so excited to be able to share that with you because you will be blown away by the meal plan that is there. So let's get started. Let's dig into what we are going to be learning today. So how do I know these things? How did I come to this place of being able to learn what I'm sharing for you today? Many years ago, probably about 10 years ago, I now have 6 children. At the time I had 5 kids, and they were they've always been very healthy people, but at the same time we have this usual like chronic and colds, all these weird things that just didn't seem like we were ever getting rid of, all of those kind of things. But it seemed like that we were just always at the doctor's office, which seemed so miserable. Well, over this time I was totally depleted. I had just had baby number 5. I was exhausted. Out of all of the people, I've got 4 that have all kinds of weird metabolic disorders, and I've got 1 with epilepsy. So we were always having to go to the doctor to make sure that certain levels were good and that things were fine, and it was nuts. So I had totally, by the time I had baby 5, I had totally just let myself go. Like, I was taking care of everybody else and could not take care of me. I had gained 80 pounds and I was absolutely miserable. I could not even get out of the floor to play with a baby or to change his clothes or to do anything. I really felt like I was on the verge of just completely losing it. And I really didn't know what to do. Like, I sat on the floor and just cried. I would hurt all the time. Like, my body ached, my legs hurt, my feet would hurt so bad and throb. I couldn't even stand on them. By the time I got to just my breaking point, I was miserable. Like, I thought I was going to have to die to feel better. Like, I really did. I thought I could not go on anymore. And at the time, I really thought that a lot of it was just simply that I had gained so much weight. I was 200 pounds when I had him. And so I thought maybe it's just because I had gained so much weight that I was just, feeling it from the weight. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to lose some weight. That's where we're going to start. So I started this journey. I went to the bookstore and I looked at the books and gobs of shelves of all the weight loss books and all of the things, and I was like, first of all, there's too many things to choose from. And I read book after book after book, trying to look at the back covers and looking through the books and looking at the cookbooks and trying to figure out exactly what it was that I needed. And I really didn't know what that thing was. I didn't know even where to start. I came across one book that looked like it said lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks. And so I was like, okay, that just sounds good. Like, let's do that. Let's just start there. And that was really the only reason that I bought the book, because that one sounded much more exciting than any of the other ones. Didn't care how it was going to happen. I just knew that something had to happen. Like, if 15 pounds could make me feel better, let's do that. So I took it home, brought it home, and I started looking at what I needed to do with this. And it was extreme. Like, extremely extreme. So far crazy. But what was crazy is I was so desperate, I did the crazy. So I went through this, like totally taking every piece of food away that was not necessary. Like I was starving myself pretty much. It was miserable. But I suffered through, and I did lose the 15 pounds in 2 weeks. Now, funny thing is, when you lose that much weight at one time, and it would tell you like how you're supposed to do this, and like you're adding foods back and you're doing all these things. Well, I started trying to add foods back, and I started feeling sick all over again. So I'm like, okay, that's not working. So finally, I just decided, okay, I'm going to the doctor because something's got to happen. So I go to the doctor and find out that I had celiac, found out that I was, which means you can't have gluten. If you've not ever heard of that. I was borderline diabetic. My blood pressure was on that verge of, like, I was going to have to really bring that down and do something. My cholesterol was going up. Like, all these things were happening, and I was like, I do not want to be on medicine. I do not want to go that route. Let's not even think about that, because that's not an option. So I came home with like several prescriptions, and I'm like, this is not, what I want to do. So I sat and contemplated over that. I looked at the prescriptions, and I looked at this diet, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to have to keep doing this and see if it helps. They were like, well, if you lose weight, you will help some of these things. This will do a little bit for these things you can keep from having to take the medicine. But if you continue on your path, you're going to have the medicine. So I was like, oh, we don't want to go there. So I kept killing myself to not eat so that I could lose the weight. So it was a miserable little trek of getting there. Over time, I started thinking, okay, I can't live like this forever. Like I knew I was going to have to be off bread, which was my most favorite food ever. Like anything I ate everything had to be bread. Like there had to be bread with something all the time. So I thought, I knew that was going to have to be off the table anyway, because that was something that I was diagnosed with that was actually physically killing me, very slowly, but for sure. And I did know that not eating that, I was feeling better. Like that was one thing that had totally changed, because my feet were killing me because I had neuropathy, and the neuropathy was actually ramped up by the celiac, or the eating of the gluten and everything, and so that was actually making it worse. So I decided, okay, that's one thing that has to go away, and I'll have to figure out the rest, because I didn't really know what to do. So long story short, I ended up figuring out that gluten was a culprit, but there were so many other things that I could be doing that could change how I was losing the weight without it being so detrimental to how I was feeling the rest of the time. Because even though I was just like living off salad, pretty much, like salad. And so I was so hungry all the time. I was tired all the time. I didn't have any energy. So I really needed something that was going to make that part of me feel better, because I really knew that something had to change in that area and in how I was feeling emotionally, because I knew that I still was not feeling the best emotionally. So I began to really look into a whole lot of other areas. At the time, I thought, okay, I'm going back to school. Like I always loved nutrition, and I wanted to do that in school, but I didn't go and finish. So I ended up going back to school for functional nutrition, which has been the greatest thing I have ever done. And I became a certified functional nutrition counselor, which is awesome. But through that, I learned so much about my body and what I was doing to my body and the things that I was trying to accomplish this weight loss with, which I had done, but I didn't do it in a healthy way. So by this point, I still had a little bit of weight to lose, and I wanted to figure out a better, healthier way to do it that I was not killing myself. And then I came across the most amazing thing ever, which this is going to sound insane, but I learned how what I was feeling about myself was really changing how I was looking at myself, and therefore changing how I was living my life, and whether or not I was losing weight or not, and all of these things. So I decided that, okay, something in my brain needed to switch. I needed to switch gears in a different way, because I'm looking at everything from this negative, sad, pathetic side, when really I needed to be looking at it from a healthier mental state. And that was the part that I was really needing help with at the time, because I was so emotionally drained, because I was tired and I really didn't know what to do. So I began this, I don't know what you call it, like a group, started going into this group that was all about your mindset and how your mindset changes the way that you look at life all the way around. And through this class, between the class and what I had learned in school, everything collided into one, and it became this beautiful ray of making my world so much better and being able to change how I was taking care of myself. It was amazing. So that is what I'm going to share with you today. So I created my own meal plan, my own way of looking at my health in general, how I was taking care of me, how I was taking care of my family, and it became this whole other way of looking at life. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how we are moving forward in this world. So our strategy today is going to be all about how we can move from point A, which is whatever your place you're at right now. Now, if you don't really necessarily need to lose weight, but you just mentally do not feel good about yourself, we're going to talk about that. If you need to lose weight, but you mentally just don't know how you feel about yourself, and that you think, I can't do this, and there's no way I'm ever going to lose weight, we're going to talk about how we can change that mindset to be able to bring on a better outlook on yourself. And then we're going to talk about how we can put all these things together into one, which is so very nice. And it just works so lovely together. So let's get into the nitty gritty of all the things. So grab a piece of paper and a pen, and let's talk about each one of these steps and what we can do to be able to help our body to feel better, give us more energy, and to lose weight if that's what you need to do, help your mental state feel better, and help you to emotionally be able to deal with the life that you have. Because sometimes if you're a mom and you've just got kids, and it may just be that you're just totally drained, kids will drain every little ounce of sanity out of your brain by the end of the day, especially if you stay at home with them all day long, which I did. I stay at home, I homeschool, and like I have to have a little piece of my own world at some point during the day. So we're going to talk about how we can do that and keep yourself in a sane place by the time you go to bed at night. Okay, so number one is to set your goal. Now, a lot of times we try to set a get instead of a goal. And I know that sounds weird, but they're two totally different things. So we're going to set a goal. Now, a goal is something that we look at. Now, I know you've probably heard of the SMART goals, like you're very specific on a specific day, and we're going to make realistic goals and all of these things. We're going to look at this in a whole different way. Okay, we're not looking at it from our goal today, and then like by next week we want to be like 5 pounds lower, and the next week we want to be 5 more pounds lower. No, we're not looking at it that way. We're looking at the long game, because one thing that I have found when we're looking at just the first 5 pounds, that's all you're going to lose is the first 5 pounds, because you've not put your goal out there further. You're like, I want to get this result right this second. But your goal has not, like, you're not looking at your long term where you're going. Now, I know that if you're looking at 80 pounds or 100 pounds or 150 pounds, like, I know that seems like a huge goal to look at. That seems like so far out of reach. And I know that sounds like a daunting thing, and it can feel more depressing and heavy than looking at little small increments. But if you're not already looking at how you want to be and where you want to be at the very end, and all you're looking at is at these little 5 or 10 pound increments, then you're never going to get to your further out goal. So we want to be able to really push this further and really think about, like, where do you want to be? And I really want you to like hone in on this and think about it each step of the way. Because a get is like, I'm gonna get this right here, and then I'm going to get this right here, and then I'm going to get this right here. Now, I want you to think about, why do you really, truly want this? What would be so different in your life if you lost the 80 pounds or the 100 pounds or whatever it is, even if it's only 15 pounds? Well, how would life look different? How would you feel? How would that affect your family? how would that affect your world all the way around? How would you yourself feel every single day if you walked out of the house in a brand new pair of clothes and your body's like that much smaller, and you know that it's that much smaller? Like, what is that going to look like? Like, I want you to get that picture in your head. I want you to go to Google, and I want you to Google bodies. Like, I don't care if it's a movie star or whatever, like somebody that you've always thought was really pretty or handsome or whatever. Like, find them and copy their picture off. You can either cut their head off and stick your face on it, or like, if you can like do the thing, you know, like put your face over their face. Like, I'm not good at that, but if you can do that, do that. Like, find a picture, find what you want to look like, and I want you to every day hone in on that goal and on that person that you see, because that is going to bring clarity to who and what you want and know why you want it. Number 2, you are going to change how you feel about yourself. You want an epic life. You want to feel great. You want to have tons of energy, and you want to be able to play with your kids, and you want to do all of the things, but you can't do it if your body's depleted and exhausted and depressed and heavy. So we are going to change how we think about ourselves, because like when you're not thinking, like when your body is in that place, all you can think is, I feel miserable. I am so exhausted. I feel horrible. I cannot go another step. I cannot eat another thing that's healthy. Like, I do not want to look at another salad. Like, if I thought I had to look at another salad by the end of my salad days, like, I thought I was going to scream. I can finally eat salads again, but it took me a long time to do that. Like, think about all of the things about yourself. I want you to make a list. Now write these things down, like right now, like self-image, and write down what I'm about to tell you and the steps I want you to take. But don't do it right this second, okay? Because like, I want you to really, when this is over, I want you to really sit down and think about what I'm about to ask you to do. I want you to really concentrate on it. Like, spend 10 or 15, 20, 30 minutes if you need to on really what you're looking at about yourself. So look at your self-image. When you do this, I want you to write down your what you feel about yourself right now. Like, do you think you're fat? Do you think you're ugly? Do you think you're like the ugliest thing ever? Like, whatever it is, like, I want you to think about what you feel about yourself right now. Like, it can, I am the worst mom. I mean, like, it can be positive, it can be negative, whatever it is. Like, I don't care what it is, write it all out. Then I want you to, once you're done doing that, I want you to mark through all the words that are negative. So if you put fat, mark through it. If you say, I'm not even worthy of this goal whatsoever, I've tried in the past and I have failed and I'm just a complete failure, mark that whole entire thing out. Like, get rid of it. Like, mark it out. And then when you're done not writing out or marking out all of your negatives, I want you to go back and I want to take you every single one of those negatives and I want you to change it to a positive. So instead of fat, I want you to say, I am beautiful. I am skinny. I am the most amazing person. I have the best healthy physical body that I can possibly have. I am happy. I am excited. I have so much energy. I am so ready to move forward. Like, I want you to go through and I want you to take all those negatives and make them a positive. We're doing this because, and this was something that I thought was, like, when I first started doing this, I thought, that sounds so weird. Like, that makes no sense at all, because how is me thinking that I'm ugly and then changing that to I am pretty, like, what does that do? But it really will begin to make you look at yourself in a different way. Because it is so easy when the things that we speak, the things that come out of our mouth, what a man thinks in his heart, so he is. When it's coming out of your mouth, that is what your true feelings are in your heart. And if you are feeling those things, if that's what is coming out of your mouth and you're feeling it, that is what is truly there. And that is where you're living. You're living that depleted life. You're living the I'm ugly. You're living the I'm not worthy of this goal. You are living the I am depressed, because What a man thinks in his heart, so he is. So every time you speak the negative, you're drawing in more and more and more negative, and you cannot live a purposeful life moving forward if you are going to be living that depletion and not focusing on your goals every single day. You have got to start changing the way that you see yourself every day. And when you get through writing these things out, like I want you to think of all the positive things. Even if you only write down like 5 or 6 negative things, I want you to write down like 20 positive things. Like don't have to be that many, but just like I want you to really, really hone in, like any positive word that you can think of, look it up. Like look up this like synonyms for all of these things, you know, like really find different words and write them all down, all the positives that you can possibly find. I want you to write it down, and I want you to begin with I am blank, because when you say I am, I don't want you to say I don't, like I will be, or I want to, or maybe in the future. No, I want you to say I am. That means right now I am this person. Because just like we said in step 1, when we're setting our goal, we're not looking to the next 2 or 3 days. We're looking long term. Like I want you feeling about yourself today, even though you may still be 200 pounds, I want you to be thinking, I am 120 pounds. Like I want you to already be feeling that way in your body before you ever even reach that goal. Because it's going to drive you to reach that goal. It's going to drive you and push you further, because every single time you look at a piece of cake, and your mind, when you are sitting here every single morning, I want you to read all of your goals out, or all of your positive things out to yourself. I am beautiful. I am skinny. I am healthy. I am a perfect 120 pounds. I am the perfect version of myself. I am happy. I am full of energy. When you write those things down and you're saying it to yourself, at first you're going to have to read it off a piece of paper every day. And you're going to read it off every morning. You're going to read it off every night before you go to bed. Keep it beside your bed. Put it on your TV. Put it on the refrigerator. Put it everywhere. Even if it's just one of your little sentences, like put them all over the house. Put them everywhere all the time. Put them where you can see them constantly, because that is going to be a physical reminder to you every single day, and it will help you push past that negative feeling. At first, it's going to feel very, very very awkward, and you're going to not believe it. You're going to say, no, I'm not this. But eventually, the longer you do it, the more you're going to feel it. And I promise this works, because I've done it like so many times. And whenever I start really getting depressed, or I start feeling like I can't do something, or I feel overwhelmed, on a day that you feel extremely overwhelmed, you're going to do this, and you're going to be like, okay, I can move a little bit further. I can go a little bit deeper. I can go past this one piece of cake. I can go past that one thing. Like, you're going to learn to have such a strong will that it is amazing. Now, that is your self-image. You're going to do that every morning, every night. Now, like, it's not creating new words every day. It's just the sentences that you've created, that I am beautiful, I am pretty, I am whatever. Those are the same things you're going to say to yourself every single day. Read them in the morning, read them at night, write them down every single day. Really get that into your mind. And I want you to really be thinking about yourself. While you're reading those, look at yourself. Begin really picturing what you want yourself to look like in that future you. Number 3, now paradigms. Why are paradigms bad? What is that? And why are they killing you? Paradigms are habits. These are habits that you get into through your life. They're usually somebody else's habit. Like, it may not be a habit that you really started on your own. It may be a habit that your parents started as a kid. Like, they may have said, clean your plate. This is a big one, a big, huge one. Like, a lot of parents will say, clean your plate. There's somebody in Africa that's hungry, or whatever. We say this to our kids, trying to get them to eat their vegetables. Who cares about the kid in Africa? Like, your kids don't care about the Africa kids, you know, like, they're not worried about somebody else not eating. They're just not ready to eat right then. But because we say this to our kids and we're expecting them to clean their plate, and because our parents said it to us, then we feel like we need to say it to our kids, and then their kids will grow up to do the same thing. We are creating this bad habit of having to clean our plate. all the time. What happens when you clean your plate? Sometimes you end up overeating and you're like stuffed, because we tend to put too much stuff on our plate. We tend to eat way more than we really need to. And that really creates issues within our body, because then there again, we're going to gain weight. It's going to cause more diabetes issues. You're going to have a lot more trouble with your cholesterol and your blood pressure. All of these things are going to come piling in because you're eating more, because that's unhealthy. Not to mention the fact that our food that we have, even if it's vegetables and stuff, is not being grown in the same way as it used to be grown years ago. And our ground is not near as full of vitamins and minerals like it used to be. And so even though we're eating the lettuce or the cabbage or the whatever, then we're still not getting all of those nutrients. So really, eating more of that is not necessarily helping us. So just because we say we're eating a salad, still, if the salad's this big and we're not super hungry, then still not going to do us any good. So forget the eating 50,000 things, like, don't eat like that. That's not helping you whatsoever. So think about the things that you're already doing every day, the paradigms the habits that you're doing that maybe was really somebody else's habit, somebody else that told you, well, you need to eat this way, or this is how your grandmother did it, or whatever. Like, think about those things that you do every day, that you do out of habit because you just feel like you need to. Start writing those things down and start kind of cutting those things out of your life. Begin like getting rid of those things that's just not serving you in a good way. Number 4 is using your higher faculties. Now, this is huge because a lot of times we don't always think before we do something. We automatically, just like our habits that we're doing, we're just automatically doing the habits, and we get up every morning and we think, okay, we eat the same thing every morning. You're gonna eat a biscuit and eggs and bacon. You feel like you need to get this big breakfast or whatever, or you go and get the coffee, or that's all, the good coffee, and like all of these things. You get into those habits of doing those things, and we don't always think about that we need to change how we're thinking about those things. Like, we just do it automatically without ever consciously thinking about it. So I'm gonna give you a trick. Several years ago, I heard Mel Robbins, and I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she's amazing, and you just get her book, 5-Second Rule. It is like the most amazing book ever. I love it. And once I learned this, it was like the best thing, and it totally changed how I do things, because like your entire day, not just with what you're eating, but your entire day can be changed. So like when your clock goes off, most of the time we turn the clock off. Now, some days I'm very good at this, some days I'm not good at this, some days I care, some days I care less, but it really does make a difference when we pay attention to this. So when you say the clock goes off, you count backwards from 5, and you're going to shoot yourself out of the bed like a rocket. Or when you're needing to, you don't need to eat something, like you're not really super hungry, so you need to grab something, whatever, like you just are doing something simple, and you're not supposed to be doing or don't need to be doing it at that moment, then you're going to count backwards from 5. So you're going to say you walk into the kitchen and there is a bowl of candy sitting there, and you're like, oh, I want all the candy, but you're not hungry. Then you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you stop yourself. Like, even if your hands go into the bowl, like even if it's headed that way, stop yourself before you get to 1. When you start changing, something actually happens in your brain in that 5 seconds. It only takes 5 seconds to change it. But when you go ahead and do the thing, you're continuing the same ruts in your brain. Your brain has ruts where you've done the same habits over and over and over again. And when those ruts are there, your brain keeps going in that same circle. It keeps doing the same thing over and over and over again. But when you stop yourself in that 5 seconds that you stop yourself and you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, no. Just no. Whatever it is, no. Or yes, if it needs to be a yes. If you're scared to do something, but you need to do it, yes, like do it. Like, make yourself do it right that second. Over time, it creates a new rut, which is a new habit, which is good. So you want to create the new habit. So if, one of my devices is Dr. Pepper. Like, I know it's like probably, well, I know it's not probably, it is probably one of the worst things that you can possibly ever drink, but it is one of my little things. I don't like coffee, could care less about coffee, hate it, but Dr. Pepper I absolutely love. So I made a deal with myself that I could have a Dr. Pepper a day, but I have to drink my 5 cups. I drink one of these in the morning before breakfast. I have another one at lunch and another one at supper. I drink a whole gallon of water a day. But in between those, as long as I've had my one full thing in the morning, I can get a Dr. Pepper, and then that's my one for the day. And then the rest of the day I drink water. Which I know is super weird, and I know it's probably really bad to drink the Dr. Pepper, but that is my one. Like, I could care less about most anything else. I could care less about candy necessarily. Like, I like a candy bar every now and then, but I really could care less. I really, like, after being off of bread for so long, I could care less about bread anymore. But the one thing I absolutely love is Dr. Pepper. That's one of my hardest things. So I give myself one Dr. Pepper a day. But when I start going past that, like if I get into a new rut and I accidentally get into 3 or 4, then I have to bring myself back and I have to count backward and say, nope, I can't do it. And so like that brings me back to my place. So when we're talking about higher faculties, we're talking about our will, which is your decision, like disciplinary actions on yourself, like being disciplined in doing the things that you know you're supposed to do or not do. Your intuition, like knowing and understanding how you're doing something. Your perception of a situation, like sometimes we perceive something like, oh, but that cake is sitting there and it's a birthday party and it's really great, and you know, somebody's gonna get their feelings hurt if I don't eat the piece of cake. When really and truly the person whose birthday is, it does not care if you ate the cake or not, you know. So like we perceive that something's going to hurt somebody's feelings when really it may not. And sometimes all we have to do is ask a question or get some more information, something like that. So using our higher faculties, taking our will and really being able to be disciplined makes a huge difference. And so that's where I found the 5-second rule really comes into play, because if you just consciously, it's really hard to change your will, you know, like you're used to doing this one thing and we're going to change and do something like that. But having that 5 seconds that you remind yourself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, no. Like you make yourself do that. It's huge. It really does make a big difference. So last but not least is your ideal meal plan. This piece helps. Everything else leading up to this is like highly important. This is really probably the smallest piece of the entire puzzle. And I know that sounds, I told you at the beginning that this is going to sound completely nuts. But a lot of times it's not necessarily all the things that we're eating. It is, however, how we're thinking about it. I mean, how many times, if you're like me, you've probably dieted 50,000 times. Like my entire life was one big diet. Like I never felt like I would like splurge eat all the time, because I was like, I am so sick and tired of trying to diet and try to figure out how to make weight come off. And then I would be like so far extreme, like trying to keep myself from gaining weight. And then I would be so far the other way. So like I was yo-yoing constantly. I was up and down and all over the place, and I would gain 50 pounds and I would lose 10. Like, I mean, it was just an all the time thing. And it's tiring. It's mentally exhausting trying to go through weight all the time. And it's miserable. So one thing I found, now I know most people have heard of intermittent fasting, which to me is like the grandest thing ever. Now, if you have certain health issues like diabetes, that you're going to have to make sure that you're keeping your blood sugar steady and everything, there are some things that you can do to kind of make sure that blood sugar is staying level and that you're not out of whack in that. But at the same time, what you're choosing to put in your body does make a difference, but it also depends on when you're eating this thing. So what I did is I combined the mixture of the eating. Now, another thing that we tend to do is, oh, it's 12 o'clock, it is time to eat lunch. Or, oh, it's 5 o'clock, it is time for supper. So we have these things that we perceive as we've got to do this thing at this time. This was something that I had to learn to just totally like forget what time it is, well, to some degree, forget what time it is. Now, what I do, and everybody's different on the times of day that they're really hungry or what they really like to do. I don't eat anything after 5 o'clock and I don't eat anything like from 5 o'clock until 7 o'clock the next morning. I don't eat. That's my intermittent fasting time. So I just totally don't. Now, for me, it works really great. Now, if you have diabetes and you're trying to lose and get off of like any of your medicine and stuff, like if you have type 2 diabetes, and a lot of times by the time I lost all the weight, like I didn't have any of that kind of issue. I didn't have cholesterol, blood pressure, anything like that going on. So I didn't have to worry about that anymore. But now type 1 diabetes, you're still have, no matter what, you're going to have to be paying attention to those things. So it may not be necessarily a good choice for you to fast that long period of time. You're going to have some balance there. But still not eating like rampantly, like not eating a big, huge meal of something, but just taking small snacks. A lot of times I will do like 3 or 4 small snacks through the day, and I eat from 7 to 5 every day. And I don't necessarily worry about every single thing. Most of the time in diets that, eat so many of this vegetable and so many of this fruits and so many of this meat and all that stuff. So you spend so much time focusing on the food that you really can't focus. And then you start feeling, okay, so am I hungry? Am I not hungry? I need to eat. Well, it's 5 o'clock. So now I've got to eat supper. And like, it's always this thing. And so it just makes you focus more on the food, instead of focusing on who you are, who you're becoming, how you want to be, and focusing on yourself. Don't focus on the food. Take your whole mind and heart, body, soul, everything out of the food, because it's not about the food. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us are overweight because of how we were raised, some of the things that, and not out of the fault of our parents, but our parents were raised how their parents raised them. And so there again, the paradigm comes sticking its nose back in there, because this is generations. It's like the little story, the daughter was making a ham or something, and so she cut both ends of the ham off and she put it in the pan, and her husband's like, why are you doing that? She's like, I don't know, my mom did it. And so then she calls her mom and she's like, why did you always cut the ham off on both ends? The mom's like, I don't know, your grandmother did it. So then she calls the grandmother, and the grandmother's like, oh, I cut it off because I didn't have a pan big enough to put it all in there. So like, it had nothing to do with the ham itself at all. It all had only to do with a pan. So we do that though. We take on all of these other things that other people have given us, and we take them on as it's truth, and this is it. So we've got to carry this along with us now forever. And that's just not the way that it needs to be. You have to learn who you are, who you want to be, and become confident and self-worthy that you are capable of doing these things. You are beautiful. It doesn't matter your size. You are beautiful. And when you're confident in that beauty, even if you look at your mirror and you think that you're not beautiful, think about what's inside. You know you're beautiful. You know what's inside of your heart that is totally different from anyone else. Find those differences and embrace those differences. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying. I remember being, when I was little, I was not really overweight or anything, but people made me feel like I was. All my friends were like this big. My cousins were like this big, and I was not that small, but I wasn't overweight either. I was just a normal human size. But my cousin would tell me how fat I was all the time. And then I would have all these other people that were like, you wear a size what? Especially in high school, when and all the girls are changing, and you're putting clothes on everybody, and everybody's like looking at you. And I was so self-conscious. And now I don't think about what all of the other people are saying, what all of the other things are out there. If I feel good about me, that's all that should matter. It shouldn't matter if grandma over here is telling me how fat I am. Don't listen to grandma. Grandma is grandma, and grandma probably has some paradigms of her very own that she needs to deal through. Or cousin over here needs to take care of cousin and not take your thing on. So like, you own you, be you, and don't worry about what everybody else is saying. Don't worry about all these other things out there. When you allow your body to do what your body needs to do, only eat when you're hungry. I mean, like truly hungry. Like think about when you're hungry. So like 7 o'clock in the morning, by the time I've not eaten from 5 o'clock the day before, I am very hungry when I wake up in the morning. So I get my husband to go off to work, and then at 7 o'clock I get ready to eat my breakfast. And I usually drink a smoothie, which is the best thing ever. It has has green smoothie, so it's got greens, it's got vegetable, it's got vegetables and fruit, and all of my supplements, like everything's all thrown in there together, and I drink that for breakfast, and then I'm fine till lunch. So I really don't eat. Lunch is usually my biggest meal of the day, and I really don't necessarily eat supper. Usually right before 5 I will eat like a snack or something, but that's typically it. Like lunch is going to be my biggest meal. So I think about that. Like I think about what am I going to eat for lunch, and I don't necessarily worry about exactly what that might be. Like I'm going to try to pick something as healthy as possible. I'm not going to just go and eat a candy bar just because I can, but I'm going to pick something like a meat and a vegetable and a fruit. And I try to make everything as balanced as I can, but I don't like worry over it. If I'm having to eat out and there is nothing like grandish that I can eat, then I'm going to eat what I can, but just not overdo. So think about when you're really hungry, when you start starving to death and like you can feel that gnawing sensation in your stomach, that's when it's time to start eating. Eat you a little something, and then, but don't eat till you're like stuffed. Eat till you're satisfied, and then stop eating, and then move on. You'll be hungry again later. It won't be a big deal. You can take it home with you if you need to. Usually about half of whatever's on your plate is about all you need anyway. After that, you're usually stuffing yourself. So eat half of it and then move on. Like we make dieting so complicated with all of the jump through this hoop and jump through that one and fall over this thing. Like it's just craziness. So let's not drive ourselves insane. Let's think about the beauty that we have that's already there, and then take some just really truly thoughtful places and be able to think and use our higher faculties and be able to go, you know what? Okay, I'm really not hungry right now. So no, I'm not going to eat that candy bar. I can have one in a little while if I'm just really hungry, but I'm not hungry right now. Now don't fool yourself and say, I'm really hungry. Yeah, I think I'm hungry. Yep, I'm going to go ahead. Try to really like think about what you're doing, because that's really can become very easily distracted. Do not beat yourself up. If for some reason you fall off the wagon, start over. It's okay. It's okay. I promise you, it's really not that bad. Drink a gallon of water a day. Pay attention to when your hunger is coming. Eat only when you're hungry. Eat till you're satisfied, and stop eating after 5. Those are all the things. I do these things, and like it has been amazing at the results, and to be able to, I've been able to keep the 80 pounds off for 10 years now. And if I start gaining any, I go back to my like really being extremely more cautious, but typically I don't have to as much because I'm able to keep it off. So that is my think and lose weight. I think it is like the greatest way that I have ever found to actually be able to keep my body feeling good, having energy. I feel better in my 40s than I did ever in my 20s, ever, because I felt horrible in 20s and early 30s. It was so bad. And I feel so much better now than I ever did. And I feel like you will have so much of a release of your life and getting your life back, because you're not counting every calorie and counting every point or counting every little thing to make everything work. Like that's tiring, that's overtaxing, and it will drive you absolutely insane. So I hope this has been helpful. So if you've kept to the end and you have finished with me, you will be receiving, if you will, in the chat, say think and lose weight, in the chat, then I will send you the meal plan and all of the things that we talked about today, so you'll have them all written down together. I know it's not really considered a meal plan because it's like the simplest thing ever, but it still will help you to get it into your mind of when you're needing to eat, when, thinking through the process and really putting it all together. It's going to feel very awkward in the beginning. You're going to feel like, oh, I can't really do this. This is like super weird. But I promise you, the more you do it and you keep on going back to it, it will begin to make all the sense in the world, and it's really going to all come together in one place. I have a friend who I have helped so many people to go through this same thing and to go through this plan, and but I have one lady that her name was Emma, and she was just the sweetest lady ever, and she was struggling with baby weight. She had bad baby number 4, and she was really trying to get it off. She was feeling very emotional. She was just, everything was all over the place, and so she was really not sure what she was wanting, like how she was going to get healthy again and feel good, and she was just feeling just very depleted. And so I showed her all of these things, and we went through all of this together, and she was able to lose the baby weight, get rid of it, and be able to also feel emotionally better and so much healthier in so many different ways. I have another lady who was, her name was Claire, and she is like so amazing. She used to run all the time. She used to be so, like she said, I was very, very particular about what I ate and how I ate and when I ate and all of these things. And she said I just totally like left after her husband got sick. So she really wasn't sure, and like all her kids are grown, but she has her husband at home, and he is getting dementia, and so she has a really hard time with him. And she was like, I've just got to feel energetic again. Like I just have no energy. And she said, I miss running. And she's probably like 75, but she said, I want to run again. Can you please help me be able to run again? And I'm like, okay, sure we can. And like, I wasn't sure how. I was like, well, maybe walking fast, but running, I don't know. And she was like, I just miss it. That's one thing that I absolutely loved. So I walked her through the plan, helped her get her self-image statement planned out, and what all of it was going to look like for her, and really going in depth and helping her find the things that were going to be best suited for her direction she needed. And she ended up calling me one day, and she was like, oh my word, I feel so much better. She said, I've been walking, and I've been walking faster, and she said, I'm ready to run now, and that's about to be my new thing that I start tomorrow, is running. And she said, I might as well run because I'm walking so fast. So I thought that was really cool, because she was so excited about that helping so much and getting her back into a place where she needed to be in a healthier position, and especially with her husband and everything. And she said, I feel so much better. It's amazing how when we take a lot of the food that we eat, even if it's good food, even if it's salad, you can still eat too much salad because you're just eating because you feel like you need to eat, but not eating because your body needs food and nourishment. We need to eat out of the need, not because of just that somebody's telling us it's time to eat. So really think about those things. Those are just a couple of the people that I've been able to help. I've helped so many hundreds of people that have come to work through this program with me, and it is just amazing. So I cannot wait to talk to you more. Down below there is so much more information that you can go through, some different ways that you can be a part of our program, and to learn more in all the directions that we have coming, because there's so many things. You can either do it on your own thing, like be able to just do it all by yourself, or you can work with me over a 6-week period and come through the course with me. And it is so amazing and so wonderful to be in a group of like-minded people and be able to do a little bit more one-on-one with you that's you're not going to get through just doing it by yourself, and being able to have some accountability. And then we have our 12-month program that is a year long of real intense one-on-one help that we really can walk through and look at some of these emotion things that are really pulling you down. There may be some things that from your past that you just really haven't thought about that may be actually holding you back from some of these things. You may have some the underlying diseases that come from through your family that you may not even realize that are there, that I can help walk you through and be able to find some answers for some of these underlying conditions that you may have going on. There's so many different things. We can also do family environments, like if you have kids who are needing to lose weight and you're really not sure how to help them and what to do with them, we can do the 12-month program and work together as a family as well and create a family unit that is amazing. So any of these things you can go through and find the one that works best for you and your family. So look below, there's all of the information down below, and I can't wait to help you and to get to know you better as we move forward. I hope you'll have an amazing day and think and lose weight.